Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Friday morning. Real quick question for those of you who are waiting in the chat. Is that intro skipping for you like it is on StreamYard from my point of view? If so, I'm going to have to upload it again. Another adventure that StreamYard has been providing me lately. As I'm watching it through here, it's skipping. I don't know if you guys or the audience are seeing it skipping. I just realized that now. If so, going to have to upload a new one because I don't know. Welcome to Friday morning. Sorry for the lateness, but I got caught up with stuff at the store, and I just didn't want to stop doing what I was doing. So I'd rather have just gotten home where I could end the night or begin the morning or whatever the hell it is for this vampires. Welcome to literally the Midnight Express. I am your host, William, and the co-host is Brad, who has his woodpecker and his static monster, both with him tonight. This morning.
Yeah, and I literally just because there's something I guess up with the date that was placed on the stream, because I texted only like 5 minutes before we went on. It's like, are we streaming tonight? Because it said like tomorrow, and it's like
I moved it to 12:05, and so I put it on the 25th, which is literally the date change. So there you go. Because like I said, I wasn't sure whether I was gonna be able to make it tonight, but I wrapped up earlier, so this was sort of an unplanned show. So we're just gonna run into it. There's really nothing big that came up in between the last time we talked. So, but of course, Tony, you got a long question. Question: how is it that a director don't trash other directors' films that they're afraid of being rude, even though they're just being honest? Because it's unprofessional. Anytime you have a profession like that, it's really unprofessional to bash another person's movie.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't want them doing that to you, and regardless to whether you preferred their work or not, that's still their work. You really should not get into the habit of doing that, and that goes for any line of profession, by the way.
Yeah, I found when interviewing a lot of screenwriters and directors, I mean, they tend to stick together. They tend to kind of be supportive of each other, even if they didn't like the last X, Y, or Z that somebody made. They still they won't go scorched earth in public on like, oh, I didn't like the last movie that that Cameron did or that Spielberg did. It's they might kind of couch it more in terms of it's like, well, he's a masterful filmmaker and he's I look forward to what he's got coming up next kind of thing. But they tend to be very supportive of each other.
All right. I thought Battle of Los Angeles was an okay movie. I mean, it was entertaining, but it wasn't great. But it was good. I'd put it at the good level, like right in the middle, medium, mid-level. Could you tell the audience how to become a badass and cool like you? I'm not cool. Everything I like I said, I mean, I really never paid external attention to myself in that regard. But I think my biggest strength is not caring. I think I got better at what I do, no matter what walk of life it is, when I didn't care about about how it was perceived. When I just decided to do the things I was going to do, and that's it. I think I wasted a lot of time caring about what people thought instead of just doing the things that I had in my head. And once I just let them leap out of my head and ignored my surroundings for the most part, I think that's what is the key to me still being around on any of these platforms. Now, there are certain people that, do have worthy advice, but also, part of the answer to your question is be careful who you listen to. Not everybody who has an opinion has one that's relevant to what you want to do and what you want to be. He changed. Oh yeah, he's answering your question. Hello, Ozzy. How are you doing?
Going in, Aaron?
Yeah. Well, because I was running late and it was already 5 minutes.
But it's still weird. It's like you change it, but then it says, okay, we're streaming in 23 hours from now.
Well, it's not going to matter because we're live now, so it'll erase that. So, but it wasn't. Now, what it did is it moved it from the 24th because the stream was originally supposed to start at 11:55, which would have been on the 24th. Once I moved it to 12:05, it went to a complete day, and then I rolled it back so that it was only 10-minute difference. Okay, not really, guys. It's just literally it's just a change another time. That's all. Because we screamed so late, it literally went into the next day.
Say his name and he appears. Yeah, Chuck Cage. Say his name and he appears. What I have not, I'm going to try to go see it tomorrow night. I have not seen it yet, but I don't think William has either. Have you?
Nah, I've been too busy. I'm probably not going to see it for another couple of days. Last of Us season 2. What's the controversy? There really is no controversy. What happened in the show happens in the game, as far as I know. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't watched it, but I don't know what the country. I guess if you didn't know what really happens to these characters, if you weren't familiar with the game, I guess it would be a shock to the system. So I have to assume that the majority of people that are watching Last of Us don't really have a lot of knowledge on the game. They know it exists. So for those people, it may seem controversial, but for anybody who was familiar with the game, it was bound to happen. Watch Battle of Los Angeles, aliens fighting armed forces, and that's it. Yeah, it's a basic movie. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. They had that last season, did they? Lesbianism in The Last of Us. And for me that wouldn't be controversial, but I only like I said, I just watched the episode the other day. Yeah, I ran into the same thing with Game of Thrones. I knew what was the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are literally verbatim that what goes on in the book. So I knew exactly who was going to die and what battle, what, and all that. And then after season 4, when the show outpaced the books, then it kind of got kind of interesting for me. But yeah. Okay. Then I guess if you were not familiar with if you were part of the, like you said, 80 to 90% that didn't know what was coming, that would have been a shock to your system. That would have definitely been a shock to your system. What is ANZAC? I'm pretty sure the A stands for okay, so I'm going to guess Australian National is it Australia New Zealand Accountability Day? What does it mean?
Well, I think because Aaron was talking about she just voted. So this must be related to Australian elections. By the way, Aaron, and I know you saw this your tweet about that. It's like, I'd vote for Martial Arts Party, and it's like Bren Foster retweeted that, so I bet that brought a smile to your face. Our buddy Bren Foster.
All right, for those of you who don't know what that is, Brad has explained it.
Yeah. So
which is all of you, which is every single one of you watching the show.
Which makes all of you losers because you haven't seen Life After Fighting.
Well, a lot of viewers rage quit the series like they did the game. Did they rage quit because of that? I'm trying not to say what it is because not everybody, like I said, not everybody watching the show.
Yeah, I'm really in the dark on whatever this is. It's
I heard there were other reasons why they rage quit that. There was a lot, dude. That Last of Us 2 has a really. We put this. Aaron, I sent it to Aaron because she was asking about it. The Last of Us 2 has a really creepy sex scene with one of the main characters. First of all, it's a video game. And it was just weird. The way they did it was so weird. I thought, if you weren't going to rage quit over that, I don't know what. I mean, we're in the era of Grand Theft Auto. Is anything going to piss people off when it comes to these video games? So, I don't know. Like I said, this season has been all right for me. It's had its moments, a couple episodes there, but that start, man, it took me a week to get through that first episode. That first episode bored me the shit out of that. That first half of that episode was like, ooh, man, maybe I'm gonna binge watch these. But then it picked up.
Okay, it's Anzac Day is Australia, New Zealand Army Corps. It's like our Veterans Day.
Okay, so I got 3 of the letters right. I got 3 in the last 2. I didn't. I had to say it had to be for New Zealand. I mean, there's only so many words that start with Z. Sounds like a Xanax. It's an anagram for Xanax. For The Last of Us, what are we finishing up here, Music Man? Oh yeah, I like I said, I haven't been as grabbed as a lot of people with this second season. I think the casting is dead on. I mean, Abby. I like the way the first scene, the first episode opens up, with the grave of the person, and so they make you feel her pain and what, obviously what Joel did. For those of you who didn't watch last season, I don't know why you're watching this season if you didn't. So it's a pretty miserable show, though. As good as it can be, dude, this is a miserable show. This is not a feel-good watch if you want to watch anything. Well, yeah, if you do, like I said, Xanax, you can get free drugs. I don't know. No, we didn't do we didn't do one for last week. We did after shows for a little bit. Actually, we would talk about it. I think after it, because we would do our live stream. No, it's not a show I want to do a watch party on. I decided that earlier on. I decided that last season I didn't want to do a watch party on that one. The next time, I don't even know when the next watch party is going to be for a TV show, to be honest with you. I decided not to do Andor because not everybody's into Andor. Some people I know are viciously not into Andor.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. As I say, it's like anytime I feel like life is not as fun as I want it to be as a DC fan, and believe me, there's plenty of justification to think that. I look over at Star Wars fan and go, yeah, it could always be worse.
Well, it's not. That's another depressing watch. And my biggest problem with Andor is not the quality. It's just like I want out of this portion of the Star Wars universe, and Andor literally leads me right into the era of Star Wars that we just can't escape.
The thing that really kind of has my interest most right now as far as Star Wars really is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because my assessment of the Disney Star Wars era is that the best thing they produce in Disney Star Wars is the Mandalorian. Like that really.
But it's an opinion. I think Rogue One steps on the Mandalorian literally with a big shoe.
Well, it's got Skywalker ties in it.
But they all do. They're all. If you judge them by that, then they're all. To me, all of these shows represent a fear of its own fandom. It's a fear to go outside of that safe spot that the Skywalker saga represents. And I think it's a crippling fear. I think it's a fear that hurts them. I think it's a fear that limits them. I think it's a fear that puts them into a box where something like this that could be beautiful and creative and then go in so many different directions and still be Star Wars always goes back to that safe place. It's like Linus in a security blanket. And I'm like, that's a problem. That's a problem I have. That's the main problem I have with Andor. Not the quality of the show. The show's great, but once again, here we are again. We're going in circles. We're never leaving our neighborhood to go see what's beyond the wall. We're just going to hang around the block a little bit and maybe meet the same people that we always already know for the last 40 years. So, the Mandalorian's another extension of that, and then it's bookended by the sequel series. So you're in a box still. So. I am waiting. I'm not excited about anything Star Wars, to be honest with you. I will get excited when I start seeing things that are so that maintain the Star Wars core, but do something new. And I disagree with many Star Wars fans that think that Star Wars is Skywalker. I think that is bullshit. I think Star Wars is a much larger story than just, one particular era. I don't think Star Wars is Skywalker exclusively any more than Star Trek is Captain Kirk. So, all right, I think I'm going to go. I'm going to watch AEW. It's been nice watching clips of Tony Storm, and she was here in Vegas, by the way. You could get a picture taken of her, and for those of you who don't know who Tony Storm is, she does this timeless routine where she's this movie star from the 50s, and whenever you see her on camera, she's black and white, and everyone else is in color. So whenever you took a picture with her and you had somebody process a picture for you, she was in black and white, and you were in color. It was hilarious. She's very fun. I don't know. I didn't do one for the first one. I don't know if I'm going to be doing too many more watch parties. You guys, I got to be really honest with you. They're really time consuming. And this time of year, it's really tough for me to do them. If you notice, we haven't done a lot of Saturday afternoon watch parties because that's the heart of my day. And doing WrestleMania, we only did that because it was in theme of what we were covering. So I'm going to try to get back to them as much as possible, but they really are time consuming. And I don't want to be a deadbeat host and just have somebody else do it. It's the Sci-Fi Center Presents. I am the Sci-Fi Center. So, just pushing a button and not being there is not something I really want to do. So I want to try to, as time permits, I will get them done. But yeah, I didn't do Sandman 1. And I'm being that there's a wet blanket on this entire thing, with the way things are ending, I don't know. I probably wouldn't be doing a season 2, even if I had time, even though I love the show. How you doing, son of? Still need to check out Andor. Really good series, but once again, like I said, don't do it if you're having a good day and you want things to stay that way because it's very depressing.
There's one here for me from Fourth. Are you watching Havoc tomorrow? I've seen Havoc. I have seen Havoc, and it is from the director of The Raid, so that automatically makes it awesome. It is pretty damn awesome, though.
How the fuck did we sneak that into the show?
Because Fourth asked it, and he had a question for me, and I'm being polite and answering him.
Okay, I ignore half of his questions in this.
No, Havoc is, again, I would like to remind everybody, okay, this director, okay, Gareth Evans, Marin-Tau, 2 Raid movies, and now Havoc, okay, this is the guy that Warner Brothers said no to a Deathstroke movie on. I will never not bring that up.
They didn't say no to him. They said no to a whole bunch of things that they shouldn't have said no to, but hey.
I will never, ever, whenever we're discussing the Hamada era, I will never, ever, ever.
But there was no Hamada era. It was the Ann Sarnoff and Toby Emmerich era. Anyway.
I will never not bring that up. Okay. I will never, never not bring that up.
This was the easiest matchup, Chuck. I mean, Cena and Orton is easy. It's easy money. It's Orton still is over with fans, and Cena as a heel. This works perfectly. I was listening on a bunch of, and I think CM Punk. I think he'll retain against Orton, and then CM Punk will be next. Yeah, Andor is great, but like I said, it has that but to everything that goes on in this era of Disney Star Wars or any Star Wars is that they cannot escape the gravitational fear of the Skywalker universe. Even if the Skywalkers aren't in it, it's still the core of this story. It's still everything leads back to those same people. So, like I said, enjoy it. I'm just not, I enjoy Andor for what it is. It's a great show, and the dialogue in Andor is some of the best shit out there. But like I said, after this is over with, I'm still stuck in the same neighborhood as I started with. Okay, what's going on with the biscuits shit with the chat? What are you guys doing? I hate when I'm not. I'm completely outside the joke.
Well, you're gonna. I mean, here's a joke. Of course, you're gonna roll your eyes at every time on the show. Aaron, you see the original Blade script was supposed to be a period piece. I remember hearing something about that, or it's like they're for one of their goes that they made was that it was supposed to be set in the 20s, which again, that's kind of what we got with Sinners,
which is not Blade.
I mean, it's Blade with minus
no,
the sword.
It's Sinners. It's Sinners minus everything that Blade is.
Yeah, I can see this. Just in the abstract, I could see because again, Blade, he's got half vampire. He's got a longevity that humans don't have. So I could definitely see that working. In a period setting.
I don't see it working in the current MCU now, so I could see why they would change a lot of it, because I don't think they're going to bring him in, nor should they have ever been bringing him in a solo movie. First, so I think that I'm pretty sure that when you're going to see Blade in
fact,
in Secret Wars, and you're going to see Blade and you're going to see him in one of three places, or all of the above. The next Doctor Strange movie, Secret Wars, Avengers Secret Wars, and Avengers. He's going to be in one or all three of those. And that's where you should first see him.
Well, see, I thought of this too. Is, I mean, like, one, because there's also the question people ask, like, well, how are they going to account for, the sudden presence of vampires when you've never seen them before in the MCU? It's like, well, like this idea about it being in the 20s. I mean, you could play around with the idea that Blade's been in operation for centuries, and like he believed that the idea was that he was under the impression he had taken out all the vampires, and then it turns out there were there was enough left that they were able to kind of have a resurgence in modern times. That's
too complicated. That's too complicated. And here's why. Someone else brought that up in the store today, and it immediately it's a reasonable idea till you realize that he's not going to know about every vampire. He would have to be where every vampire was in order to keep their existence that secret. So what's probably going to happen, and it's the same thing with mutants. The same thing with anything that doesn't currently exist is when the sacred timeline is created after these universes are, because Earth 616 doesn't have vampires, some other universe did. So when all these timelines are consolidated, that is where you're going to get a timeline where mutants have always existed, and where anything that you wanted to have in this universe, you will now have a logical reason, because all these strands are going to come together and they're going to converge. And at different points of that time, then, like, okay, so let's say, for instance, Wesley Snipes universe, right? Because I'm betting he's going to be in here. He's going to get killed off, or he's going to get consolidated. So that's all you need right there. Is we know that Wesley Snipes' Blade had vampires in it, right? And we know just from Deadpool and Wolverine that they recognize the existence of a universe where one of them or a variant of him exists, correct? So when Loki or whatever Doom does, either purposely or accidentally, to converge those timelines, that's where you're going to get your vampires. You're going to have one singular timeline where all these things have always existed. That's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to defy logic of how, like Xavier, how, people say, well, mutants have been hidden all this time. Well, it's been, they pop up at it anywhere. I mean, what about like a guy like Nightcrawler? You're going to hide his existence? I mean, he's blue with a tail and fur. So, and Beast is literally an ape. So yeah, I think they're just going to mess around with the timeline. Yeah, and we'll eventually after. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what's going to happen. So for anybody who's ever, this is my theory. Everybody said, well, how are they going to explain the existence of so and so after all this time? Because all these timelines are going to collapse together at the end of Secret Wars, and then that's going to be your explanation. Not just for that, but for everything that they've always wanted to put in. Since, remember, when they started doing the MCU, they didn't have the ability to do this because they didn't own all these IPs. So. Let's see. I don't know if that was Troll. Another YouTuber who does movie talk. His streams are fun. Well, go there. I mean, I love having you around. I think I know you're.
That was kind of related to the whole thing he asked me about Havoc and talk about that. So. Okay, am I outside of my own stream, guy? Are you guys having a stream that is not having to do anything with me tonight? I mean, what is going on? I think Mutant Man agrees with you. Vampires could show up, once the timeline is set.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be a lot easier for any of these guys. I mean, all the cosmic stuff, especially I think Fantastic Four is going to set a lot of that in motion. That's my theory. So someone not into Star Wars that much, except for Mandalorian, kind of what's good to watch first. That's a tough. You're static. That's a tough one. Because technically, I mean, if you're not into Star Wars as much, but Andor is a great show. Rogue One is my second favorite Star Wars movie after Empire Strikes Back. Those right there. Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, it's really if you like the Mandalorian, that's basically an extension of that show. Those are the ones I would recommend because I think Andor, even though it leads into obviously episode 4, as a good story and a good dramatic series, it stands on its own. It stands on its own. So that would be my recommendation. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that could happen. I think John Cena and Joe Hendry could definitely happen. Especially, I mean, once you bring someone onto on WrestleMania like that, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go fuck around with Randy Orton again, just to get his revenge for his squash match. Have I seen? I have not. I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. Have you seen it, Brad? Oh, I muted you. Sorry, the static.
No, I haven't. No, unfortunately, and not very well. Oh, so it's based. Well, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. So yeah, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I agree with you, Music Man. I think CM Punk will get the belt. What biscuit? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the biscuits. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll past it.
It's about like the whole, Australian veteran. Azteca is definitely like trying to, like, come on. It's like, we know, it's like you guys are like,
well,
saying,
at least he added the laughing emojis because he knows that's not true. Oh, come on, Brad, come down to Little Mermaid 15. He's a big marshal. Oh, yeah, we've covered this guy. I thought you were going to meet up with him or something.
No, yeah, we were talking about there. I mean, if I can finagle a super chat out of it, I mean, let's start low, like at $50. Maybe we'll, go from there.
I like Michael B. Jordan, but he's not. I think Mahershala Ali is a much better actor as far as this goes. I mean, Michael B. Jordan could play the character, but I think once you would introduce Mahershala Ali, that's just my personal.
Since Trinity, I mean, for the longest time, I was saying casting Michael Jai White as Blade, and I think he'd be fun. The only problem there is that he was just like blow everybody else off the screen. I mean, it's just like how much he would just dominate that.
I just can't get out of my mind just how awful Trinity was.
Oh, it was.
Screen Australia said that Godzilla X Kong sequel is underway filming in Australia. It's set to have 400 people employed at night. Dude, how are they doing that for $93 million?
$93 million?
Are half of them working for free?
or is that like
or is that just that part of
what that portion of the budget represents?
If they get away, they do make those movies for relatively cheap, but $93 million, that's a steal. Somebody's getting blackmailed to make those movies. You can't. That movie has a lot of visual effects in it too. You could do that as well. I actually no. I'm sorry. No, you can't. I forgot we were talking about something else. No, because Blade doesn't really justify in the MCU. Doesn't justify its own movie. It justifies it not yet. Like I said, you bring them in. Just like you bring him in the comics, you bring him into the atmosphere that really does his character justice. You bring him in with Doctor Strange, or you bring him in with this, with a lot of the stuff that's happening with the multiverse, especially since you have a pre-existing one that you're going to kill off anyway, or that's going to go away. That's a perfect lineage. I don't think there should have ever been a Blade movie announced on its own. Put Blade in Doctor Strange, get everybody used to that character. And then and tell his story within the context of what you're currently doing, and then put him out there. I always wonder when even back in Comic-Con, whatever they announced that, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing? And I guess Kevin Feige asked the same question that I had been asking for years. Why are we doing this? Nothing against Mahershala Ali. He's a 2-time Academy Award winner. Nothing necessarily against the character of Blade, but why are you doing a solo Blade movie while you're trying to cover all this other ground? You can't even get the Eternals is still not been fully integrated, and there's still a story for the Eternals left to tell because of the Celestials because of all the stuff that they dealt with, you know. So I just think they got to an era where they just started announcing stuff and they sat back and they looked at what they were doing and they weren't feeling it. And then a lot of that was under Chapek, who is no longer there. So no, I don't think Blade should have a standalone movie until after he's introduced into the proper environment. That's just my opinion. All this Universal kills the story. No, it doesn't. Having a mediocre movie that, you know, that's going to make Eternals money and have people criticizing it, that kills, you know, that kills your momentum. Just make Blade. Why? He doesn't need to be standing at Skip Daddy. He needs to be standing next to Doctor Strange and a lot of the characters that that literally make up his environment and justify his existence. That's where he needs to be. I mean, I don't see. Within the context of their story, I don't see why we're doing a standalone Blade movie. I mean, he didn't even appear in his own comic book. He appears in a Dracula comic book, and then he's like a guest star for like years and years and years, and then he got a couple of books that, you know, all of which get canceled, by the way, because there's really no demand for the solo character. You know, build the demand for a solo movie, you know, introduce the character, and then do it like that. And I think that's what he's done, you know, because like I said, if they were really high on getting the Blade movie out there, it would be out there. Who's stopping Kevin Feige? You know, so the fact that it hasn't happened tells you, you know, I mean,
moot point though, because there's only one Blade. It's only going to be
there's
going
to be Mahershala Ali as Blade. I just think that they've decided to introduce him into the MCU. You know, first, then give him a solo movie. And that's not the same rules you need for every character, by the way. But for a character like that really is intertwined and interwoven in the supernatural elements that you already have, you don't really need to do a solo movie yet. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I have to assume that Kevin Feige is in somewhat of agreement, or else you'd have a Blade movie already. Because he's sort of his own boss now. Especially with Chapek gone. They were always going to get they were always going to get the rights to Blade. Nobody had Blade licensed. Blade was only licensed for those specific movies that they were doing. Marvel never gave up the rights to Blade because nobody outside of the people who made those 3 movies was ever demanding them. I'm pretty sure Blade is Marvel, as long as Marvel had them and Disney had them. Yeah, and that's another thing. Is I mean, you know, not every Marvel solo movie is going to attract an audience. I mean, look at Ant-Man. Ant-Man did good money, but why don't you want Blade to do as good as possible? I mean, why just throw it out there? It's a machine that's working. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a billions of dollars generating machine. You know, if you want to keep theaters alive, these comic book movies go a large part in doing that. I know. I figured you were fucking with me and trolling with me. But I get, you guys don't know how many messages I get. And it's just you know, bringing up other people's, not G-Force, but in general. And I'm like, I try to be as polite as possible. Thank you for the input. And when it's you know, structured that way. Some of them are just fucking insults. And I'm like, you know, fuck you. But the ones who really want to, and I'm like, some of these shows I like, but like I said, that's you know, and some of these shows I'm on, but you know, I have a way of you know, feeling comfortable with the way we're doing things here. I mean, all right, there's the thing about Deadpool though is it was never intended. When you're doing Blade, no matter how you introduce him, is intended to exist within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadpool never was. Deadpool did not have to follow the rules that the multi-billion-dollar machine over in Disney was setting out because it was its own thing. You know, and at the time Deadpool was coming out, Kevin Feige was less adverse, you know, he was more averse to the violence. You know, obviously you see now in Daredevil, we know we're going a little bit away from that. But at the time, the height of the Deadpool, it wasn't the same thing. And everything Kevin Feige's doing is to integrate at some point into his overall narrative. So it's not the same comparison. I mean, and plus, like I said, I just think they're just it's apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges. And you also, a lot of the attractiveness with I almost called him Daredevil again, with Deadpool is the vulgar nature of the character. That's what appeals to him in the comics too. The vulgar nature of the character. Blade doesn't have that vulgar nature. I mean, the best thing you could do for Blade, and John Wick wasn't even out at this time when this movie was even conceived, is make it like that. But even still, for an MCU movie, John Wick money is not good enough for Kevin Feige and his stockholders. That just ain't gonna fly. So I think you bring him into the infrastructure that's Marvel, give him that support, and then put out the movie. But not just because, and I'm not one of those guys that says everything needs to start, build up for a solo movie or build up the other way around. I just think certain characters literally lend themselves to the storytelling apparatus that's already existing with Doctor Strange and Wong and all these guys, and the fact that you have a counterpart or that you already reintroduced. I just say do it that way, and then let's gauge it after that and do it. And I think that's what's happening. I really think that's what's happening. There's been an announcement that there's going to be an Urban Legends reboot in the work. I haven't seen the Urban Legends movies in years, so I can't really comment on those. I don't know if that franchise has the legs for a reboot, but I guess we'll see if they're doing it. Yeah, and that's saying something, because Michael B. Jordan, with every role Michael B. Jordan does, he's getting better. Michael B. Jordan, by the time he's the same age as by the time he's in his 50s, he's going to be at the level of Mahershala Ali. I just don't think he's there yet for that type of role.
And God, and don't listen. I did this a couple of years ago, where it's like I think it was around the time when Black Panther was coming out. I went back and rewatched Fantastic. Man,
stop calling it that. I hate
well, you gotta distinguish it somehow. So, listen, guys, I don't know what
Sony's Fantastic Four. That's who made that movie.
Fuck. It was not as or the preceding two. I wish I called Josh Trank, because even he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't want to be associated with that.
But he is. It doesn't matter. He is.
But yeah. So I went back and watched that. I don't know what was going on in the making of it, but watch Michael B. Jordan. It's like they just drained all the charisma out of this.
Oh, the problem with that movie is
it's
just a bad story. It's a bad story and it's a bad script.
Really, it's like his whole portrayal of Human Torch. It's like he's on Vicodin through the whole movie.
Yeah, it's just not. You know what? And like I said, that's not the worst movie in the world. It's not the first movie. Newsflash, guys. That version of the Fantastic Four isn't the worst movie out there, and it's not the first movie with a bad script. I think I think the piling on of it is also added to the fact that anything that wasn't the MCU Fantastic Four, it was going to, because you got people that take digs at 2005 version, when at the time it was a very successful movie, because we weren't looking at things through the structure of the MCU. Now we are, and people want to take shots. It wasn't a great movie by any means, but it wasn't some Roger Corman shit. I mean, damn. you guys act like it's Dude, Where's My Car of Fantastic Four, and it's not.
Dude, Where's My Car is like there's more life, within that. There's more of like a there's more of
they're two bad movies.
but there's more of a spark to it. Everybody's just the whole. And everybody's just a zombie in the 2015.
Well, no one had anything to lose with Dudes With My Card. None of those. Everything was up from there. You couldn't. None of those people were like blockbuster.
Well, everything's been up for Fantastic Four ever since the 2015 one. And
not really.
And it's like, and listen, I always say it's. And thank God, Michael B. Jordan had Creed a few months later after that, because that wouldn't have
hurt his career at all. That movie was not going to touch his career at all. See, movies don't mess. I think movies don't hurt actors' careers. They may hurt producers' careers, because they have more of a play of how a movie turns out. They may hurt studios, but they don't hurt actors. They don't hurt actors. I know people try to bring up some really, really thin examples, but for the most part, there's been a lot of actors who have done a lot of bad movies that go on to do things because most casting directors and most studios realize that the actor is not the producer. The actor, in most cases, is not the director. The actor is somebody who's reading lines and doing a job that they got paid for. Everybody else, from the creative end, then, and like I said, not a great movie, but that version of Fantastic Four is not the you get, like I said, you guys act like it's Huey Bowl. It's like, come on now. It wasn't great. I wouldn't watch it again, but damn, it's not that bad. I need Blade standing with the Midnight Suns. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Unless you're going to do it. Now, you can do this enough because you can have him. Hell, I would give him 3 minutes. You have a Ghost Rider. You have all these ones. And like I said, they all need to die at the end of Secret Wars anyway. So why not? There you go. There's your shot right there. I think they're going to come up with their own Ghost Rider if they ever do Ghost Rider. I don't think you're going to see the ones that they did from the, you may see them in these movies, but just to get killed off or just to get consolidated, kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine. You're not going to see those versions that were in there. They're dead. So there's other variants of those people that you're going to see in these next movies. But the biggest problem I have with Midnight Suns is when they added, I think with Midnight Suns, no, that was Marvel Knights. Marvel Knights had some good individual storytelling, mainly Daredevil and Punisher, but them collectively, I'm like, why are we putting these characters? And they all get canceled, so there you go. Even with him going out there at even with him going out there at Comic-Con with Feige didn't really get many people. No, because I like I said, I watched that live. And I was wondering, I'm like, why? But I'm like, okay, not the end of the world. I mean, if I get a Blade movie, okay, cool. If I don't get it, cool. I just was wondering, why would you take that particular character that at that particular time and commit to a solo movie with a high-end actor like Mahershala Ali when you were nowhere near ready to pull the trigger on the movie? I mean, you're wasting that guy's time. Why would you do that? He's got other roles and he's in it now. He really wants to do this movie. He's gonna do it. So.
I mean, it really does speak to his commitment to it that we haven't heard. I am beyond stunned we haven't seen the headline Mahershala Ali departs Blade.
No, because he probably sat down with Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige laid out, this is when this is going to happen. This is why this is going to happen here, and this is where this fits. And when you have a guy with that acumen sitting down and telling you his plan, and if it's laid out as well as he's executed the MCU plan, Mahershala Ali is probably, okay, this sounds great. He's probably been told now when and where he's going to. And like I said, I almost can not guarantee you because I can't guarantee anything. He's going to be in these upcoming movies. And like I said, Wesley Snipes is going to cash another paycheck. I don't know where the other ones are coming from, but he's going to catch because you're going to see all these people in there. And they're all going to die. They're all going to do some and they're going to die heroically. So here's the thing. And I think, you're going to get to say goodbye to some like 20, 30 years of characters pretty much. And and they'll die heroically like they did in Deadpool and Wolverine. And then when it's all said and done, and the only thing that's really going to suck is I think that Loki that I've gotten attached to, the one from the TV show that I really, really like, he's going to die too. I think there's just no way around him dying in order to get to sync the timeline. I really love Loki, especially the second season. I love the first season too. I mean, I think that's one of Marvel's most underrated shows, if you can call it underrated shows. What's the guy who played Morbius? The brothers.
Jared Leto.
No, not Morbius. Morpheus.
Lawrence Fishburne.
No.
He played Morpheus.
In Loki.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
yeah, you're right, but not the right movies. You know what I'm talking about.
I need to look that up.
His brothers are actors too. Why can't I? It's late. But yeah, I really loved his character. So yeah.
Owen Wilson. Sorry.
Owen Wilson, yeah, and Luke Wilson, but yeah. But that's what's going to happen now. See, you want something that doesn't work for what's already been successful. That's all I can really tell you. You want something that doesn't work for the person who's making it. He doesn't really do that. I mean, you have your A-listers that have done that, but look what, and plus, I think with this era of B-listers getting and Z-listers getting there, like Mahershala Ali is an A-list actor, but Blade is not top tier characters, and I think we're done with that for a while, because if you look from Endgame all the way up, you've had 2 A-list movies, right? 2 A-list movies. You had the Thor movies, and you've had Spider-Man. Everything else that's been B or Z list has struggled. So I don't know if they want to go down that road again right now. Let's see. Oh, you're talking
I think after Love and Thunder, I think Thor's place on the A list is debatable at this point.
Well, so do I, but he is one of their introduced established A-listers. Hold on, let's see. Okay, somebody's messaging me in the middle. I think they're watching a show. Yeah, I don't think any of the Thor movies are A-list, but he is A to established. He is a founding Avenger in their universe. So here you go. 93 million is the money that's going to be. Oh, okay. I was about to say, man. If they're making a Godzilla movie,
because the last few have been like 200 minimum.
150 actually. I think they're keeping.
But even that's still a lot more than 193.
Yeah, 93 would have been like, holy cow.
93, it's like, I mean, that's what Godzilla -1 looks like it cost.
I don't think so. Let's not get carried away. I love Godzilla Godzilla -1, but it looks like a $15 million movie. It really does, and that's not a knock, by the way. There are times you could see it looks like a, you can see where the money is spent and where they had to where they couldn't splurge. That's why that year that it won 135 to 150, which is relatively cheap for those movies. That when Godzilla -1, a movie I loved, won Best Effects over the creator. That is not what that award is for. I mean, that's one of the many reasons, by the way, that I've loosened my grip on the Oscars relevance. Because that's not, that was not the Best Effects of the year, not even close. It was good for what they had, but that's not what the award was called. But no, you could clearly see that Godzilla. There are times if we were to rewatch it, there are times I could point to you, and I'm not very good at being able to point things out, like with CGI and overlays and all that. And there wasn't anything bad in -1, but there are things where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a lower budgeted movie, and that's fine. His time has run out. Nah, he's richer than Hollywood. They don't age. He's literally a vampire. I'm not even bringing up
He's literally
time. You're stealing, because Steel is a horrible, wretched movie.
What was that about Steel? I mean, it's a horrible, wretched movie, but.
When Shaq says it's stealing time and quit shacking the fool to the bad guy, my steal. There was enough people in your theater to erupt. Yes, because nobody went and saw that movie. I think Kazam made more money than that.
I didn't see it. No, I'll pull this up for you right now, because I didn't see Steel until it was on video, and I was looking forward to it, because I mean I was thinking like, oh, we're going to see, like, they're setting up like Death of Superman. They're going to bring in Steel. They're going to bring in Superboy. They're going to bring in. I mean, that's what that. It was like between that and like hearing like Batman Forever. It's like the circus is halfway to Metropolis by now, or like, Batman Robin. This is why Superman works alone. Yeah. I mean, that's what passed for like building a cinematic universe back in the 90s. So I was looking forward to Steel as a kid, and oh man, like just seeing that trailer.
That movie was just really.
I mean,
bad.
no cape.
The only reason that it happened is because Shaq wanted it to happen. Otherwise, nobody would have.
Well, apparently they did actually run it by Wesley Snipes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is where like the question of like how many people are in the theater to like bust out laughing about anything. Budget 16 million, box office 1.7 million.
Yeah, that's awful that's awful by 90 standards. That's awful by any standards.
It's been 28 years. I mean, it's like, has that movie made any money in that time? Since
I don't even think people rented that trash.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, there's no way it's in the black. It's that bad.
Azteca, this is the problem. Connected this or that has been beaten down to death by Disney, and unfortunately, The rest of the studios thinks this is the way. Well, they know it's the way because it works. It hasn't been beaten to death by Disney. It's still working. They're about to go into a next phase of this, and it's going to make a lot of money. When you say something beaten to death, that's an individual opinion. That's not necessarily fact because it's still making a lot of money. And the studios who do the franchises, for the most part, are the ones that, if you look at the money in the last 5 years, actually last 7 years, the movies that are making the money for the most part are part of either recognizable IPs or they're part of franchises. So the studios they would be foolish to move away from a model that's working. The other movies that are the other ones that you guys prefer don't get made without those franchises generating the money. So, I mean, and like I said, just make good movies. Nobody cares. Listen. Nobody, when it comes to just making a good movie, that is not enough. We all like to say that shit out loud. And we all like to say it to ourselves. Just make a good movie, and we'll get a happy ending, and we'll all, Dorothy gets home to Kansas and Toto's there with her and all that stuff. Making a good movie is about 25% of your success. There have been a lot of really good movies that have struggled to make money. And most of them are ones that are not connected to anything. Because when the consumer, and this is who drives this, the consumer wants that money that they put down to go far beyond than just any one movie. You guys in the chat and some of these other guys might be like, oh, well, just make a good movie. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. Then, once again, that math doesn't work for anybody. The consumer wants that money. They want to feel like they are buying into something much larger than that just one experience. That's why these things work. So just being a good movie, we've gone on this show ad nauseum about a lot of good movies that didn't make shit. A lot of good movies, a lot of great movies that didn't make shit. And, disappeared. Or never got anything heard of them again. Or, other projects that director or producer may have had didn't get made because they weren't seen as a viable revenue generator. So yeah, the just to make good movies is like probably I won't even give it 25%. I'm going to give that 15% of an overall success. I know that sounds horrible, right? But there's been some awful movies that were connected to things that made money because they were connected to things. And there's been some brilliant movies that weren't, that struggled. The only reason you're getting Accountant 2 is because Ben Affleck holds so many strings and has a production company that'll do it. The first one was great. Based on its quality, you should have had something sooner. They wanted to do something sooner. But it wasn't until he got his own company, he got a lot more leverage in the last 9 years to do his own thing like that you got it made. All these movies, we could literally do a show of all these individual singular movies that have not done what they needed to do to generate anything. But look what has made the money. And this is not an opinion. You guys can look these movies up. Look what's been making the money. I mean, even down to the $400 million level, John Wick. You think, well, was there any mathematical reason to stop making John Wick movies? No. Now you got a franchise connected to it. You got Ballerina, June 6th. I cannot wait to see that movie. So I wish it were a different way. But this is where the customer, it's not the studios, it's the customer. Everything begins and ends with the customer. If the customer stops going to see these franchise movies, then you won't get the damn car with the duct tape in outer space. All right. It's a customer. The customer is dictating it, not the studios. So, and you guys, be honest with you, you're not in the majority here.
You should put that on a t-shirt, man. It's like, selling side by side. It's like, if you don't support franchises, you're not going to get the car with the duct tape in space.
Well, those movies, some of those movies are Fast and Furious. Some of those movies are just awful, right? The only reason they make money is because the credibility of the franchise. That's it.
And even that credibility means something completely different for them now.
Look, we're talking about Alien. We're talking about a movie, a successful movie, and a successful TV show. People want the franchises. That's why when you make a movie like The Predator and you damage the franchise, that's more than just one bad movie. You damage a whole bunch of revenue generating potential. So yeah, I mean, if you're anti-franchise, this ain't a good time for you, because the studios are going to react to what the customers go to. If millions and millions of people would have gone and seen Mickey 17, maybe I can make a different argument. What about The Working Man? How many of y'all saw that? That barely squeaked over the probability line. Now it's on streaming now. So, I mean, and I'm not advocating one way or another. I'm advocating towards math. It's a business. The customer made the decision, and the industries were responding to it. I mean, not that necessarily I agree with it, but that's just where we're at right now. Deadpool was innovative as a superhero genre when all the other superheroes around were chasing money. Now, because all the people that were chasing money were successful doing it. Chasing money. Deadpool was chasing money. Ryan Reynolds wasn't doing it for free. It wasn't a charity benefit. He was doing it for money too. But the thing about Deadpool is that because there was no infrastructure to work in and there were no expectations for that movie, you could kind of do what you wanted to do. There was the general public didn't know who Daredevil was, or God damn it, who Deadpool was. You don't have that kind of freedom when you're working with Captain America, when you're working with a Batman, when you're working with a Superman, when you're working with a Hulk. You don't have that. You don't have that luxury. When you start doing certain characters, you have to be, you have to have an infrastructure put around them and going somewhere. And like I said, just because Deadpool was successful doing it with Fox is doing it, doesn't mean what the MCU was doing was wrong. They were successful at the same time Deadpool was successful. So it's not like, Feige was, doing something that what Deadpool is some better or superior way of doing anything. No, it worked for Deadpool. But what Feige was doing with Disney and MCU worked for them to a tune of $30 billion. And like I said, none of these people were doing it for free. Everybody's chasing money. And as long as why stop something that's successful though, Azteca? Like I said, your only way to combat this, if you guys don't like it, is to go storm to the movies and see these solo movies and these independent movies and these ones that aren't connected to a franchise. But no one's doing that to that degree. We're hooping and hollering over centers. I mean, but you look at the major money, it's either connected to a recognizable IP or a franchise. So when I say recognizable IP, Barbie is a globally renowned, known IP. Mario Brothers has been around for 4 decades, actually parts of 5 decades. Minecraft, as absurd as all that bullshit is, has been around and I know what Minecraft is. I look at people playing and I'm like, what the fuck? It's squares. You have fun. But see what I mean? Everything else that that's making that kind of money, for the most part, is part of a franchise. You have your Oppenheimers and stuff like that, but then again, like I said, Oppenheimer owes a lot to the Pepto-Bismol thing that was going on with Barbie. Because as good as that movie was, I guarantee you it doesn't make that kind of money without Barbie. Look at Dune. Dune is a recognizable IP. Books have been around for 60 years. People know what Dune is. And they loaded it with people that you've seen everywhere. Every star. It's kind of like the Odyssey. Everyone in Hollywood's in it. But that's I mean, I'm not making this math. I mean, this is what people are going to see. And, I mean, and if anybody wants to change that, then the general public is going to have to flock to the non-franchise films. And they're just not doing that. No, why no. Why would I break something that's not broken? Why are you trying to fix a machine that already works? That works for the people who are telling the story. He doesn't want it to be on its own energy. None of these things are there for their own energy. They're there to tell a story. So why would he do that? Especially when it's and more times than not, the way he's doing it has worked. I could see if it wasn't working. I could see if we were, Warner Brothers type of situation where you fumbled and fucked up everything. But these guys know what they're doing. And I'm not saying you need 10 other films to build them up. You just need to introduce them in the right context that fits your story. If you are the storyteller and you have all this laid out, it's really important that everything that you introduce fits your story. Even the solo movies that Pat Feige puts out all lead to his overarching narrative. Captain America wasn't just a solo movie. That was to get you to Avengers. Same thing with Iron Man. Same thing with every. See what I mean? And some of these didn't. Black Widow didn't have a solo movie till way down the line. But then you have things like Ant-Man that really that are questionable. So it all depends on what the storyteller is telling. I mean, I see no reason to introduce Blade outside of that context. And like I said, I gotta think that Kevin Feige is echoing that, or you'd have Blade already. You would have Blade if that's not what he was thinking. So yeah, to guess, but like I said, the fact that there's not Blade happening until Kevin Feige wants it to happen probably means he has a place for it. That's all.
Here's a going from Aaron.
Yeah. These guys know what they're doing. I mean, we may not always agree with the content, but when it comes to making money and what audiences are going for, they're probably more in tune to it than we are, just to be honest with you. Hold on.
Yeah,
go bring up Aaron's
the Sinners TV show work.
Oh, without spoiling it, I think so.
Yeah. There's tons of different things they could do from like how.
By the way, the movie I was trying to connect it with, I mean, well, people were trying to connect it with, not me, because I don't see any Dust Till Dawn.
And by the way, if it does get a TV show, it better have a Fresh Prince style intro, and that's all I'm gonna say.
That's 2 seconds in the movie. But if you guys have ever watched a show called Lovecraft Country, it reminded me more of that than it ever did Dust Till Dawn. I watched Dust Till Dawn again today, and I'm trying to figure out what there's vampires. There's eroticism in it. That's about it. But Lovecraft Country would be more of a, and that's what leads me to think that you could do a show and you don't even need to touch the vampires. I wouldn't do it. I would do like a mini series. I would do like a 1 season type. I would do an anthology. I would take the universe that he built and cover one thing with one in folklore, and then the other one. Let me read this one. Fourth in Azteca, I think Bob Iger, a guy who went from weatherman at ABC and worked his way up to CEO of Walt Disney, doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, listen, guys, this is not to invalidate what you guys are saying in your opinion, but they're not going to change something that people still want, that's still working. You know what I mean? It's just not. I mean, when you tinker with things like that, then you end up messing things up. You know, look at what Warner Brothers did from 2017 till now. Let me look at this up real quick. I'm just looking. See, Mark Films. Oh wow, there's a whole bunch of people producing that movie, and it was profitable. Fantastic Four 2015 was profitable, and they spent no money on advertising with that. That was one of the biggest.
You've got to be kidding! That was profitable.
Nope, it was profitable, and I remember because we promoted that movie, and we got nothing. We got nothing for that movie.
Yeah, because they knew what they had, which was not very good.
Well, no, Fox at the time was financially struggling. Fox in 2015.
Well, not only that, they made it so they could keep the rights.
That's it. And they didn't have it. Fox was struggling because remember, they didn't. If you remember when Deadpool first came out, that was not a heavily promoted movie. Ryan did all that. He did all that. I don't know, and I think he spent some of his own money on it. Fox ended up getting swallowed up.
Yeah, well, and he ended. I mean, it's not officially confirmed, but I mean, it's like he very likely had a hand in the test footage leak that led to that movie greenlit.
Yeah, and he's done with that. I don't get any indication from hearing him talk that he really wants to further the character. I think Deadpool versus Wolverine was the boundaries of what he wanted to do with the character, and I think I don't think he wants to be involved in a lot of this other stuff, which is that's up to him. It's he's cultivated the character, and I really don't want to see anybody else take it, because without him, the Deadpool doesn't really work. But yeah, Fantastic Four. It was a wow, that's a cheap ass movie. Even by 2015 standards, that's a cheap ass movie. 120 and it made 167. And like I said, the trailers for it, I think you got one trailer, you got one screening, and they only did small screenings in major markets, which is some bullshit that they do now. By the way, fuck you, Warner Brothers. Why am I not getting screenings in Vegas? You hear me? But anyway, back in 2015, we were getting tons of them. I mean, we were getting everything. Every comic book movie, we were getting tons. Sometimes we would get 2 screenings for a movie, which now you get one for the Tuesday prior, but we were getting multiple screenings for a lot of these movies that were doing well, because it was Fantastic Four. We didn't get shit, man. So I don't think they spent a lot of money on that movie at all. So yeah, it was profitable. I mean, and I think all the Fantastic Four movies were profitable. Now, if you want to adjust the dollars from 2015 to now, it's even more absurd, because it's even more profitable. Okay, but yeah, like I said, it's not like it was, Cutthroat Island. People make some of these movies act like they're like the worst. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Robbie Reyes will return to die. Yeah, I think they will. I think a lot of these things that are on people's wishes are going to come around just so they can disappear. But like I said, you guys are going to get something that a lot of superhero fans don't get. You get a lasting impression, a final positive view of the character that you grew up watching. You know how hard that is to get. So your character gets to die heroically in a kick-ass moment in an Avengers movie. That's kind of cool, man. Fucking Wesley Snipes, he could use that to get more acting. Because the roles ain't really nobody's knocking down the guy's door right now. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but if you look at the way that the story that they're telling, and they're telling it in the way he's either going to, and he's probably going to sacrifice himself. He's probably going to sacrifice himself to limit whatever Doom is trying to do. So Doom will leave the situation with a lot of power, but not all the power. Whatever power Loki distributes or has left over will allow the good guys to fight Doom. That's a guess, by the way. I didn't see that anywhere, but I just the fact that I got connected to this Loki, I really love the version of Loki. I love the evolution of it. That's Tom Hiddleston's best acting job for me right there. So let's see. I don't know what you're referring to. Do you know what he was referring to?
You see the last theme. Oh yeah, I saw something floating about this where like it has the Tom Holland Spider-Man theme, and it, I need to go back and watch the that last episode.
I totally missed that. I don't think we're going to see him in Daredevil. In fact, I'm almost certain we're not going to see him in Daredevil, but I do think we'll see Daredevil in these movies with him, but as a cameo. It's the only thing keeping them open, man. And like I said, I'm not totally disagreeing with you guys, but all we got to do is pull up the box office. And everybody's always saying, how come everything has to be connected? How come you guys say, like, what you do in the chat? Well, it just make a good movie. I hear that, and I'm like, oh my God. I wish it were that easy, because there's a lot of good movies that have lost money because the consumer, they value their dollar. They want a trusted brand. It's the same reason why, unless you're broke, when you go in and if you can afford to, unless you're a cheap ass like me, which is a level of cheapness you need to step away from. But and most people, if you have the luxury and you can afford to buy Coke, when you walk into Walmart, you're going to buy Coke. That's your trusted name brand. All right. If you can afford in your budget to buy Dr. Pepper, you don't buy Dr. Thunder. You go with that brand name. Because why? Because that brand name is trusted and your money is important. So is that right? No, my cheap ass will buy Dr. Thunder. It tastes enough like Dr. Pepper. But the average consumer goes by brand name loyalty. That's just what happens. You know. Yeah, it cost $15 million. And like I said, it looks like it cost $15 million. Hello, Taladia. How are you doing, my wrestling homie? Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of holes in the story of Creator, but its special effects should have won that year. It should have won, and it shouldn't have even been close. I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened, but I don't like what happened. Oops, sorry. It worked before. It's played out now. No, it's still working now. Dude, James Gunn is about to launch a franchise that hopefully they hope is going to make a lot of money. That's why they're doing it. Fantastic Four is picking up on a franchise in the MCU that is made literally could fund a small country. Jurassic World, all the movies, dude, the box office is literally on life support with these movies that are coming out. Every one of the major bangers that's coming out in July is part of a major franchise. It's working now. I mean, bringing a bunch of nostalgia. And you know how I feel about nostalgia. So I'm with you there. But Fantastic Four is not nostalgia. I've never seen a movie like Fantastic Four, even on MCU standards. I mean, so yeah, you're right. But at the same time, you know, it's all in the packaging too. Superman's been around for 85 years. Is this movie going to be packaged? And once again, Forth, to your point, listen, and to my point, the audience, the consumer will decide whether this is. We don't decide whether this is successful or not. The consumer has 100% of the control. The consumer has the leash. The corporate guys that everybody thinks has all the power, they are on that leash. They are going to go where the consumer leads them. I can't even remember. I forced some of these movies. I literally put myself through self-therapy to forget.
Steel,
man. There's a list of movies that I really try hard to forget, and Steel is one of them. Kazam is the other one. Creators mediocre, the effects were great, but the story should come back around. I mean, the story had holes. The story has holes, but yeah, I can agree there. So Batman. Okay, here you go again. I should have a trophy or a gift for you, or a drop whenever one of your horrible comparisons come around, because they're averaging one a show. This is a horrible case for you to make for yourself. I don't even need to respond to it. I just need to read it, but I am going to respond to it because what you just typed here collapses under its own weight. The Batman doesn't connect to anything. It's just its own trilogy that doesn't require other heroes. Just treat Blade like that. Every man, woman, dog, parrot, monkey, ferret, snake, every living being with eyes and ears knows who and what Batman is, whether they have picked up a comic in their life or not. There are more people in this world that know who Batman's butler is and where he lives, abstract things like that, who have never picked up a comic than will ever know, will ever know what or who Blade was. That is a awful comparison. There is no situation where you could put Batman in where the global recognition isn't going to work. And even then, you're talking about something that is going to be a trilogy, which in itself is a franchise. Worth. Do you read this stuff before you type it or before you hit send? First of all, you're comparing Blade, a Z-list character, to Batman. Anywhere in this world you teleport me to. If I have the logo, I just give you the logo. Bangladesh, Egypt, England, anywhere you want to drop me on this earth, they're going to know who Batman is. You give me a picture of Blade and you drop me in those same places, people are going to look at me and ask me if I'm having a stroke, do I need help? So that was a horrible comment. But keep it up for it, because this is what I'm starting to look forward to every night. At least one. Keep them coming. At least one horrible analogy, one horrible thing that totally destroys your case. But keep them coming, homie. Keep them coming. No, it doesn't have me. I don't listen. I like these movies that you're talking about. I go to these movies that you're talking about.
Super chat,
No, you ain't coming on. No, not after that. No, I like a lot of these movies that you're talking about, but the math is undefeated on this. The math has spoken, and you know who makes the math talk? The customer makes the math talk. It's not me. You're arguing against me. You're not arguing against me. And in most ways, I agree with you. I understand where you're coming from, but math has been winning before we knew what math was, before we knew what winning was. And the math here is the case for math is undisputed. Would I like some of these movies that I've gone and seen that didn't make any money, or for people to come see them so they could get more of them made or more like them made? Of course. But doesn't get a chance, we're not going to go see a Mickey 17 like a movie again. That movie's going to lose a shit ton of money. There's a likelihood that a lot of the indie movies or a lot of the isolated type movies that I've gone and seen over the last 5 years didn't do enough money and nobody's going to make it. But you know what did? The franchise movies. There's a reason why you're going to get Toy Story 9, 10, and 12. I didn't make these rules. The customer made these rules. Tell all these people that when you talk to them and you mention these movies, these standalone movies, whether they're in a comic book or whatever, and they say, "Oh, I haven't seen that yet," then that's who you need to be going after, because the customer has spoken on this issue. Okay. Yeah. I almost, like I said, I didn't have to respond to that in order for it to crumble, but I respectably responded to them. Oh, stop it! Now you're just trolling me. You know why Hall H is so important since 2008? Because of the billions of dollars of the stuff there represents. And there's a reason why everybody wants to get into Hall H every year, including my psychopathic ass last year with no sleep. We're gonna make a movie of that. Someone else is gonna have to play me. No. All right, the mouse. The mouse don't play. Remember South Park episodes? I mean, I want a good movie, not gonna lie, but they don't sell unless we get a whole bombardment. Yeah, and sometimes things go viral. Sometimes you'll get a movie that listen, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That look how that took off. So you have instances, and then, like I said, a good amount of people saw that movie. And A24 is whenever, if you guys want to support these type of thing, every time A24 puts out something, you guys should be flocking to the theater. Every time Blumhouse spends $7 million in a bid to make 90, you guys should be going to see. Listen, Werewolf, the werewolf. The last one they did?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
That movie sucked, man.
What? No,
as a werewolf movie, and by Blumhouse standards, you know I have high standards for Blumhouse. Visual Man, these are. What was that? That was more of like a disease movie than that design of that werewolf. What was that? That movie was horrible. But you know what? I support the movement that is Blumhouse. I support the little train that could, because you know why? Even though I didn't like Werewolf because I thought it was awful, we promoted that. I support the overall structure of what he's doing. Make your money go a long way. Put a movie out there like that. But even Blumhouse is a franchise. That's a franchise for them. So, like I said, I mean, Jason Blum, what he's done is amazing. I'm not going to like everything he's done. There are people who I hold in a much higher regard than Jason Blum. And I'm not going to stop, seeing their movies. There's very few creators and producers that have made stuff where I didn't like at least one thing. So, yeah. But you know what? Werewolves. How much did Werewolf made? And I know he spent a little bit more, or let's see. Hold on. 2024 was that released? Hold on, let me see this. All right, let's bring this up here real quick. Productions. Who did? Let's see, Monkey Man, Candyman. The Candyman's another one. That's a different production, but that's another movie. Candyman. But see, Candyman is part of a franchise. See, all these, even examples that I try to use, one way or another, they're connected to a franchise or a recognizable IP. Let's see. Wolfman. I'm sorry, Wolfman. Why am I saying werewolf? Wolfman. Wolfman was the original one. Okay, yeah, they spent a lot more on this one than they usually do. Wolfman was $25 million, which is still cheap. Only made $34 million. And all the Blumhouse Universal Productions, the score was good, but the movie itself was. I think that might, yeah. Anyway, but support that though. If you want something different, okay. Yeah, Barbenheimer. See, Barbie, like I said, you take Barbie away from Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer doesn't change the quality of the movie, but it does change the awareness of the movie. So okay, here's another one. Are you going for a twofer tonight? So is Blade. He's not Batman popular, but we can stop there. We could literally stop there. I don't even know what's about to come out of my lips from reading this. We could have stopped there. But you adjust budgets for expectation. David Ayer not out there doing Jason Statham movies. But he has Jason Statham, who has done Fast and the Furious and Hobbs and Shaw. So you still have somebody who's connected to big, to big productions and big IPs. And even, like I said, Working Man was a David Ayer movie, right? With Jason Statham. It didn't do well. It didn't bomb, but it didn't do like the other ones have done. I don't know why. Oh, it's going to make its money back on PVOD. But man, I mean, we're going to watch it eventually. That'd probably be one of the watch parties that we end up doing. But like I said, you guys you're arguing against a math, but you're also arguing against the consumer. It's the consumer that has dictated this. Yeah, he's established. He's been in some really big hits. Some of them had no business making kind of money. I mean, the Meg, come on. the Meg, come on, yeah.
I mean, Jason Statham, like, battling a giant shark, and it's like sells itself. Come on.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's not a good time for Ryan Coogler. What do you mean? I don't get that. He's doing great. He's going to get more jobs.
Yeah, if it's not a good time, I mean, if now is a bad time for Ryan Coogler, I can't even imagine what a good time does look like for him.
I saw it on one of its last days. I saw it over at I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed. I saw it on the last day it was screening at Boulevard. I liked it. They didn't keep it up on the screen long because the plan to put it on PVOD was already in place. And that's exactly what. In fact, we were guessing. I remember guessing on when that was going to be on PVOD because I didn't think Mickey 17 was going to make a lot of money. I just did, and unfortunately for Robert Pattinson, unless it's Twilight or Batman, these films don't make a lot of money. That doesn't mean his films aren't good. He just does projects that don't really necessarily connect with everybody. I mean, Lighthouse. What the hell is that? Let's see. I don't know. I think it's because when I do like my comic books at the store, I have them in alphabetical order for a long time before there was something in between. Daredevil and Deadpool are right by each other. I don't have no better explanation. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I did not see Mario, and I have no plans on seeing Minecraft, but I know what they are, and if a guy like me knows what they are, that means it has a following, and there's a huge following. Hell, they're going to make a Toys R Us movie, which I don't know how this is going to work. And it might do well. You argue, okay, fourth. They haven't corrupted me. And I don't know if corrupt is the right word. The audience, remember the customer's always right? I don't agree with some of the shit that people flock to. Right? People have made some awful movies money and given justification for more awful movies to be made. I'm with you. I don't agree.
Case in point, the entire Scary Movie franchise.
I mean, and then sometimes the customer does, thank God the customer spoke in the case of like Mystery Men. Right? The customer spoke there, and we never got another one of those.
Which is a tragedy, because it's hilarious.
The making of the movie was a tragedy. But here's the thing, though. The customer spoke in error, in my opinion, and made Dumb and Dumber successful. So guess what? We just got dumber. All right? And I don't know if you can have diminishing returns on something that was stupid to begin with, but there were diminishing returns. You saw the box office go with, once the customers figured out they were being had and taken for a ride. It's just stupid-ass movies. So sometimes the customer speaks and makes money for films that just have no business being made. But in many cases, so you're arguing with the customer. Or you're not. Your argument is not with me. It's with it's with the average Joe or Joanne. I mean, Let's see. I have to look up this Reggie guy. All this wasted time could have had another Blade trilogy already. I don't think Marvel wanted one. See, you guys are speaking as if the people who were doing this were like being held back. Nothing's holding Kevin Feige back from doing what he wants to do. He's not. I mean, it's Kevin Feige. Bad Boys 5, Reggie action scene, young guy. Bad Boy 2 is my favorite one of all those movies, by the way. Bad Boy 2 is one of the best action movies made. The car scene where the Jamaicans are they climb on there and they're cutting the cars alive, and then Martin and Lawrence and Will Smith's characters, and he's like, Martin Lawrence like, hey, you see the throwing car? Can't see a car in cars. What do you mean? Like, what are you asking me that for? And then when he shoots up the dashboard, he's like, pay attention. That scene was intense, and then that scene that leads to that shootout in the house where they're shooting the Jamaicans and Will Smith is shooting through the head, and then after they're all dead, Martin Lawrence is like, trigger Mike, strikes again. He's like, and he goes to each of the dead bodies. He's like, wonder if we can interrogate this one. Oh, how about this one? Nah, he's all fucked up. He's like, the moral of the story is dead witnesses don't speak. And then they had one that was living, so they played good. I love Bad Boys 2. Oh, you are. Oh, wow, I'm way behind now. Holy shit. No, I don't think Blade will, including now when they make it, will ever be as big. That's impossible. That's an impossible ask. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Boy, you did it. You got 3 of them in there. Just the first sentence of this is dead on arrival. But tell you what, out of respect, I'm gonna go and read it for you. Matrix at one point didn't exist. Then there was the first movie. People have discovered movies that were new ideas before franchise machines took over. Blade doesn't have to hand. Yeah, it does. You know why? Look at your calendar. Look at your phone, and I want you to read the date out loud to you. I want you to read the year specifically, and I want you to truly come to an understanding that this is not 1999. The expectations and the financial liability and the revenue generating potential for these movies is not what it was in 1999. It's not the same environment. You're talking about a movie that was released when the internet was literally in its infancy to the expectations that you have now in the 2020s. Not the same. In the 90s, we didn't need franchises. We were a different society. This ain't the 90s. The viewers of the day, some of these people weren't even alive. The people that you're catering into and trying to get you squeeze that dollar out of Some of them, a good quarter of them, weren't even alive when that type of strategy worked forth. So bringing up random movies from different eras, every era has had its way of generating revenue. In the 90s, I'm going to give you an example. One of them is the one you gave with The Matrix. The other one is Blair Witch. That bullshit would not work today. All right. The Blair Witch Project, that bullshit would not work in 2025. It would not work. Anybody who's trying to tell you it would no, it would not. It worked in 1999. All right. There are a lot of things. And even now, if you look at, I'm going to give you an example of a franchise that has straddled one franchise, even two with Jurassic Park. Look at the way those franchises have transformed the way they do business from the 90s till now. It's not the same. Mission Impossible is another one. The first 3 Mission Impossible movies wouldn't have sat well today. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of other movies that are like that. Hell, Atomic Blonde was better than Mission Impossible 2. You have a lot.
Excuse me.
Look at the John. Yes, it is. Now you look at John Wick, right? You live in an era.
But that was just blasphemy. You live
in an era where John Wick goes up against a lot of these movies. You didn't have that in the 90s, so you can't compare what worked in the 80s and 90s, or maybe even early 2000s, and to now. So no, that's not a valid. And you can't expect people who have the money to risk on this thing it worked in 1999. They're going to look at you like, you want me to spend $25 on some 1999 theory? No, they're going to ask you to get up from the table and they're going to have you escorted out. Sorry, man. All right, so you guys are having a different discussion here. Yeah, we're not even going to open that one because the way that could have been handled. That's not. Don't stop, Brad. Don't even. Why Coogler?
We'll definitely open that wound again. We'll have cause to. I'm sure with like some other development will come along because it always does.
For you, I could go years. All right, the Ryan Coogler not a good time comment was a response to you saying that. You got 4 of these bad ones in. This you're broken your own record. The Ryan Coogler not a good time comment was a response to you saying that about other movies that weren't franchises. I believe Ryan Coogler was the director of an Academy Award nominated movie that was part of a massive franchise and starred a character that had appeared in a massive movie prior to his movie as part of that franchise. I think when you make movies like that and they do that well, and it goes beyond just being, hey, it was Kevin Feige's engine, because Ryan Coogler's style made Black Panther. He worked within the MCU and the franchise infrastructure, but he made that. And other studios see that. That's why a guy like that, based on that, can take his movie and have people bidding for it. The reason why Ryan Coogler was able to get that 25 years and it's his, because that's the kind of credibility his work has gotten him. Let's look at Ryan Coogler's resume, by the way, and he hasn't been around forever, but he's been around long enough.
Okay, he pretty much like you heard the phrase like hit a or like born on second hit. Think they hit a home run. He hit a home run and then hit another home run. Then he's hit nothing but home runs basically.
Okay, Creed, Academy Award level movie, Black Panther. I did not like Black Panther kind of forever, but it was successful. Sinners. As a writer and producer, Creed 2, Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah won what's his face Academy Award. This is Space Jam wasn't good. Creed 3, I like Creed 3. It's a good time to be Ryan Coogler. I don't know what you're talking about, man. And all the movies you know, he's got the credibility both in and out now. Now he's got a non-connected movie that, you know what? I want more people to go see Sinners, by the way. None of this bullshit that I want every person to go see Sinners. You know what? Just for putting the chicken out there, fuck you. I'm dropping shit now. And we're like really, we're over, by the way. I have not seen. I sent people to see Till Dawn, way over in Kentucky, by the way. I did not hear good things about it. I have not seen it. I have not. The people I sent, but the majority of them didn't have good things to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, Bad Boys is great. That's my favorite of the Bad Boys franchise. Let's see. Okay, but he doesn't even get Sinners without that resume. Do you understand that you're literally chasing your own tail here? He didn't pop out of a vacuum and said, "Hey, can I have it? Can I have this? You know, can I have this movie called Sinners? I got a movie I want to do, Sinners. Can I do it?" That would be like me walking into the office. Can I do Sinners? The difference is he's got a resume. All these franchise movies that he's done and done well. That's why he got Sinners. They just don't give you money because they like your idea all the time. He's got the credibility of those movies. Sinners doesn't happen without, by him, without the credibility I just read you. Hey, what's going on, ACS? Listen, I had to put out a milk carton for ACS a couple of weeks ago, and he responded. Like I said, when you guys go missing from your usual spots, I am going to come looking for you one way or another. If I don't see you around, because I'm worried, I'm worried. I mean, something, then you don't want to be one of those people that.
He's up in Atlanta. It's like he's like 3 hours from me.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing anything. I mean, I'm seeing you every day. I wasn't seeing him and Nosferatu doing their 4 a.m. in the morning thing. I look forward to that shit. And when it ain't there, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Is something happening? You don't have to tell me the details. And then, but then I see him doing the sports thing, and I'm like, okay, well, there he is. So yeah, I'm glad to see. When are you coming back to the morning show there, Anthony? He's probably already gone because I'm.
Speaking of other YouTubers, how's it going, Bell Rev?
Hello. You're the only one I let in. I'm tired of Porth. I'll let you in. I'm only because I know if I drop the link, Bell, you ain't coming.
Did you see the other night, Bell, with we dropped the link for you, and then you said
everybody else came in.
Yeah, it's like you weren't able to make it, which it is what it is. But it's like everybody said, well, we'll jump on, So.
Yeah, not on a Midnight Express Porth. I'm not on a Saturday night, Friday morning. We started late to begin with. Maybe Saturday. I had the link out there Saturday. You came in, but I mean, it's not like I'm not doing it as much as I used to before because the structure of the show kind of suffers sometimes. It has to. When we do open panel, it has to work within the flow of the show. This Saturday, it will because we're doing a topic where the actual feedback is necessary from you guys. When we start talking about favorite Superman stories, I don't want to just read the chat. I actually want people to have time to think about that and then come on the show. But just random talk, yeah, it's too late for that right now. Yeah, and I know you have a Superman opinion, so anybody who has a Superman opinion, and it's going to be a fun conversation. It's not going to be none of this. The rules of the game are do whatever Superman you prefer. Don't come in trying to whack somebody else with your perception and you bring your version of what you like, and it's all going to be valid. So we're going to have some fun with that. Oh my goodness. Is this one of your jokes, dude? I know New York is a big apple, but does anyone know where Minneapolis? Oh, Jesus. That almost doesn't work, but it does. I got one for you guys. And this, you probably already heard this joke. I heard this joke. Somebody told me this joke in the store today, and I'm like, I actually found it mildly amusing. And I don't do jokes on here, so. Where do you find a turtle with no legs?
I give up.
Anybody in the chat? Where do you find it? Google it. But
you're probably finding a screening of Minecraft because they found probably somebody brought a turtle in there with them. And
yeah. Where do you find a turtle with no legs? Where you left him?
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go. That's not Chuck Cage bad, but it's I think Blade of Bearing and other projects may benefit him as Daredevil got a little bit clever when he. Yeah, I mean, like I said, in the story work, you needed a lawyer, but with Doctor Strange being like 50% of the Blade stories that ever came out, then he really needs to be there. Hey, you call me what you want. It's early in the morning. Probably not coming back to mornings. Wife got a new job, among other things. Might be moving the show to weekends. Just busy as hell right now. All right, cool. I completely understand. I live that life as well. What franchise could do a crossover? No more. Listen, guys, we don't. It's like drugs. It's like crack. It's like once you introduce these wanting to just mix every franchise together. It's like a line of cocaine. It doesn't. I know it gives you a high, but is there any real reason to do this? And if you have a reason, oh, they're both robots and cyber. No, that's not enough. And by the way, they did that in the comics. Now comics put out Terminator versus RoboCop. Awful. It was bad. It was as bad as it should be when you think of putting those two franchises together like that. So. Guys, it's really awesome that the sci-fi. How am I doing that, Rational? How is my little shoebox location in the middle of Vegas driving anyone out of business? Only one I could probably drive out of business would be myself. Please explain. Diamond is going out of business, but it ain't me. Nah, I think I might tap out of movies if they do it for the wrong reasons. If you're just doing it for name value, just like, hey, look at this. That's why I don't want to see. That's why I don't want to see some of this stuff unless, like I said, it works. If it works, make your case. Let's do it. If you're just doing it because wouldn't it be cool to see this versus this? That's some bullshit I can do. That's something my unskilled ass can do. You're a skilled producer, writer, director. I expect more. That's not actually that far off. It's basically the same fucking thing. Now, but I don't know if they'll ever turn Chucky face though. Because now Megan's like Terminator 2, I guess. I don't know. I have right now. Okay, so for those of you who don't follow me in my other life, that is not Facebook or not Facebook, YouTube. Ooh, wow, it's up there. Right now, between now and May 3rd is a very important time of year. The most important time of the year for me. It's Free Comic Book Day. So I am getting the store ready, getting fixtures and stuff added, adding merchandise that'll be for sale, and just basically making the store presentable so that it tells the kind of story that these brand new customers that are giving us a chance for that one day can be able to read. So we're gonna have I have giveaways. I have pins, I have buttons, I have shirts, I have posters to give away. Obviously, we have the gold tier. I think gold tier is the highest with all the comics, all the free comic books. So there's been years where I've gotten shorted and half this, half that, or missing. This year, I'm pretty certain. I got to check the boxes that we got everything that's been advertised at that tier. So it's going to be a pretty big day, and I got a lot of them. So now I have another commercial that's running tomorrow. I'm going to run a commercial that goes through all of our social media. That goes through the titles that are available, and it'll be split up to get people excited about it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of physical woodworking, opening up sections of the store. I created an Absolute DC section. I created a Marvel Ultimate Marvel section to go with the Batman and Spider-Man and Superman pylons that are already there. And then I'm adding stuff to the As Seen on TV section, which is a big section for first timers in the store. So yeah, that's why I went on late, because I did not get done there until about 11:40. And then I decided I had enough energy. I was originally going to do the store from there, by the way. But I decided not to. There you go. Coffee and turtles. What else did you need? That's all life has to offer there for you. Okay, so let's stop that screen, but that's to answer your question. But oops. Not damn it, streamer. Oh, this ain't. Okay, Brad left. That's what happened. Okay, Brad must have bad internet. All right. All right. Well, are you going to watch a new horror clown film dropping in theaters next month? Probably not. Let's see. Yeah, these movies are out there, so you really, I mean, the opportunity to change the narrative on this is out there for people to take. It's just people just aren't doing it. Chuck Cage, you think WWE should have had Worlds Collide on Sunday instead of Saturday afternoon? Money Bank? I don't know if it would have made a difference. To be honest with you, Chuck. Yeah, boys, I'm gonna need help. There's something I'm gonna need you to climb a ladder for when you get here to Vegas. All right, let me see. I want my absolute. Wow. To be honest with you, I used to, third printings used to be like throwaways, but now they're not. So yeah, you can get that. The alternative to franchise machine movies doesn't have to be some. No, but it can be a high budget thing. But see, here's the thing: the studios aren't going to spend that kind of money on non-franchise things because they don't want to take that risk because people aren't coming to see it. Bronson, Right Wolf, $5 super chats. Thank you for supporting us. What are your thoughts on Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy playing multiple characters and using different voices in some of their movies? I'm not a big fan of Mike Myers, so I can't really give you a good answer there. Eddie Murphy has done it. His entire career, he's done it from Saturday Night Live. I mean, from Buckwheat to Mr. Roberts' Neighborhood, and then most notably in Coming to America. It depends on how it's done. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Mike Myers movies. There's really not a lot of movies that really attract me to him, and most of the movies that he's done that in, where he plays multiple characters, like the Austin Power movies, I'm not a big fan of those. So I think if it's executed well and there's a distinct signature to each voice, like when you watch the barbershop scene in Coming to America, that's classic. When you're talking about Cassius Clay, mama named him Cassius. That's all him and Arsenio Hall in there. Most of those characters in that barbershop are. So yeah, if it's done right, it can be kind of cool, and it shows the range of any given actor. So, but when it comes to Mike Myers, I just have not really seen enough Mike Myers movies, other than the ones I didn't like, to be able to give you a good answer. But thank you for the $5 super chat, and I hope you're enjoying the show. All right, wonder what the hell happened to co-host. He must have really hold on for a second. He must have really got clogged up with that Atlanta internet. Moments in Austin Powers have me dead laughing, but I haven't watched the movies really. I really never understood the appeal of Austin Powers, but I left that to the people who are big on them. Could we get another Iron Man trilogy after Secret Wars? Or I don't think so. I think we're going to be focusing on different aspects of the MCU. I don't think we're going to get a lot of the Avengers proper stuff. I think they were always going to use the Avengers to tell these big stories like this, but I don't think the universe itself after Secret Wars is going to revolve around those type of characters. I think Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Spider-Man are going to be the three pillars. You'll still have the Avengers there, but I don't think you're going to see another Iron Man. I don't think you're going to see new iterations of these characters for quite some time. William, take the month off. Me and what? Yeah. And on that topic, Fourth,
sorry everybody, my internet went down for like 5 minutes, so that's why you lost me.
Gotcha. When we start hearing these stories about what a movie needs to make even, the one caveat about that, and I posted this somewhere before, is like most of these trades are assuming that they know what the advertising budget is. They have some formula, but that doesn't always apply. I mean, because by their math, Sinners had to spend some ungodly number to be able to promote it, and I promise you, they did not. So they're using this formula, and then they don't always put out those numbers. In fact, I don't think the studios put out those numbers very often. So we're guesstimating on that. And I posted an article a couple of days ago that actually broke down the risk and liability a lot better than that. I think it was a Variety article that did. In fact, let me get that and put that in the account because I thought it did a much better job. Not because it mirrored my opinion, but it just mirrored my suspicions of where are we getting these numbers from in order to say something is not, not making money. I mean, we just don't really know. Here it is. I'm going to put it in the chat. It's IndieWire, which is a trade, but I've had better luck with IndieWire.
Well, they're not really a trade. They're kind of a little bit more in the vein of like a lot of the outlets I've worked with.
Yeah, they're more like a Screen Rant or type of thing that you would. Yeah, I got you. All right, there you go. So read that article. I think it gives a better.
I did too. Yeah, so I read through that. That was actually a pretty good breakdown of the whole thing. Which again, it's like that initial framing of it, where it's like it costs like whatever the phrasing of it was in that one report. It's like a sinner's cost like an ungodly or a gargantuan. 90 million. That's like these days, by tentpole budget standards these days, 90 million. That's pretty frugal.
With the Academy Award nominated director and actor playing two different. I mean,
and by the way, Ryan Coogler, it's like for Sinners 2, or like the Sinners continue, however, like it proceeds, like he could ask for 200 million, for his budget for the next one and get it, without second thought.
Yeah, but I think we're being fine. All right, but so read that article, guys, because it was a little bit different than the ones. All right, do you guys listen to Ozzy Osbourne's music? If so, what are your favorite songs of his to listen to on Halloween? Now, I don't think this is going to be a two-sided question because I don't think Brad listens to Ozzy, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, not so much, man. Yeah, I'm not
all right.
Ozzy guy.
Okay. My favorite Ozzy song from him being on his own is one he did with Lita Ford, "Close My Eyes Forever." It's my favorite Ozzy song. Anything that comes off the Blizzard of Oz, I enjoyed. I enjoy Ozzy as a singles, as a solo artist more than I do as a leader of Black Sabbath. I think Ronnie James Dio. Once I heard Ronnie James Dio, once 8-year-old me heard "Lost Children of the Sea" and "Heaven and Hell," to me that was a Black Sabbath. But for me, that's going to be my favorite. And like I said, Blizzard of Oz, I think is a great album. It has hit after hit on it. And some of the earlier stuff he did with Randy Rhoads when he broke up with Sabbath, man, we lost that guy. He when he left Black Sabbath. For those of you who don't know that when he broke up with Black Sabbath, he got this brilliant prodigy guitarist who died doing, because they were doing stupid shit in a plane. I think he was 23 years old, and he was not even near what he would have been. So yeah, that's gonna be my favorite. Let me look up some Ozzy's because I haven't listened to Ozzy solo in a long time. He has a lot of you guys know him from his reality show more than you know for his music. Man, him and my dad were born the same. Him and my dad are the same age. Ozzy's a grandfather now. It's just so weird. He's been a grandfather. Let's look at his discography because some of the stuff. Let's see. All right, Blizzard of Oz, 1980. I remember listening to that as a kid. Believe it or not, guess where I listened to that album at? This was back when in the library you could go listen to albums in the library, and Blizzard of Oz was in there. 6-year-old me heard that. Diary of a Madman. No More Tears. No More Tears is actually, I Don't Want to Change the World. Mom, I'm Coming Home. That's a good one. No More Tears. That was supposed to be No More Tours. And Ozzy basically was like, I'm done touring, and see how that worked out. Mama, I'm Coming Home, I think he wrote with Lemmy. So yeah, there's a couple of different ones that he's done. Bark at the Moon. Let's see what Bark at the Moon had. That wasn't let's see, Black Rain, that was a remix. So let's see. I'm just making sure I don't miss some of Osmosis was good. Let's see, was on Perry Mason. Perry Mason was actually a hit. He actually took the theme from Perry A. Mason and made an Ozzy Osbourne song. Ghost Behind My Eyes is good. See You on the Other Side was good. That was Lemmy. A lot of my favorite songs when it comes to Ozzy, believe it or not, were written by Lemmy or co-written by Lemmy of Motorhead. By the way, one of the things that I am fortunate for, that I am glad that I did, that I am glad. I don't care if I live to be 120 years old or I die tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I got to be in the same arena. I saw Motorhead live. I saw Lemmy play Ace of Spades live before I had a full appreciation. And every day that goes on, every day that everything that I learned, every day since that day that I've learned and listened to more and more Motorhead and appreciated Lemmy Kilmister, I am so fucking grateful that I was there at that concert to see that man perform live. There are so many famous artists and famous actors and famous. I will never get to meet Jimi Hendrix. I think he's the greatest guitarist of all time. There are people that were dead long before I was born. There are people that I grew up watching that are dead, that died, died young, and I never got a chance to. I got to see Lemmy before he passed. I got to see Eddie Van Halen play live twice. So, but Lemmy, when it comes to Lemmy, I knew who Eddie Van Halen was. I grew up with Van Halen. I did not grow up with Motorhead. I did not have the appreciation for Motorhead. Not only was that guy a brilliant bassist and a front man, he was a great writer. If you look at his discography, he wrote a lot of songs for a lot of rock and roll legends. Ozzy's a rock and roll legend, and he was writing songs for him. So sorry to elongate that question, but if you're new to this show, when we start talking one of two things, it can go really long: wrestling and music. So there you go. But I hope I answered your question, Bronson, and thank you for the support. All right. Thank you again, Bronson, for $2.
What's your top 3 Christopher Walken performances?
Well, that was not your worst, but that was bad.
William, shame on you. You can never have too much power. If life has a meaning, that's the meaning.
You sound more like Kirk than you do. Anyway.
Yeah, with the pauses, maybe, yeah.
Fuck. All right. The prophecy.
Shame on you.
Prophecy is number one. Prophecy is number one. Best Christopher Walken performance. Where he plays the Archangel Michael, and he's so vicious. And people, when they see angel stories, they think of little wings and fluttering. When you look at the history and the gospel of angels, they're not great, and they look down on humans. And the way he's in that movie and he talks to us, he's like, you got that little divot under your nose. You talking ape started talking, and I told you, I put my finger there and told you to shut up or something like that. And then he has these people that he keeps bringing back to life, and one of them, like these zombies, and they want to die, but he won't let them die. And they're like, and when one of them finally gets killed, he grabs the person that kills me. Do you know how hard this is? So the prophecy is number one. The Deer Hunter. I believe the Deer Hunter is where he won the Academy Award. He's eerily good in that one. As far as like top 3, I think it's a Deer Hunter. Let's see. Deer Hunter, I'm sorry. Let's see. Yeah, and he won for Best Supporting Actor for Deer Hunter. If you haven't seen Deer Hunter, it's a war movie. There's just a mean Russian roulette scene in here that he carries up. The third one is going to be a little bit harder because this guy has done a lot. He even did a Fatboy Slim video, Weapon of Choice. Look it up. It's the most eerie thing that you're going to go ahead and see. Hold on, let me look up. Because like I said, this third one is going to be a little bit harder for me, but those top 2 are great. Oh wow, man, this is a tough one. At Close Range. with Sean Penn. At Close Range is great. That was a great movie. That's going to be my number 3. He's in A View to Kill, and that is his worst performance in one of the worst James Bond movies. Ugh. Dead Zone is good, but I can't. At Close Range is better. Oh, you know what? Damn it. See, this is why number 3 is hard. King of New York is a classic, man. King of New York is so good that Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. uses it to reference when he writes rap songs. Batman Returns. Ugh. So yeah, that's going to be it for me.
You want to do mine?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give you. It's a tie for 3. It's a tie for 3 is going to be those 3. At Close Range and King of New York, and then 1 is Prophecy. And what did I say number 2 was? Oh, Deer Hunter. So go ahead, Brett.
Okay, well, all time, undisputed, irrefuted, absolute best Christopher Rock, Max Shrek. that's my number 1. Split opinions on the feelings on the movie. I have now.
By the way, thank you, Bronson, for that question.
Thank you, Bronson. So yeah, Max Shrek. Even though it's a non-verbal performance, I actually would probably say his Headless Horseman with a head in Sleepy Hollow. That's actually very memorable.
I can't count that because he really did do that. I mean,
and then Clem and Joe Dirt. No, I'm kidding. Not that one.
I can't even believe he did that role.
Well, no, he actually is he's very famous for he very, very seldom turns down roles.
Especially this stage in his career. He's just doing it for fun now.
Yeah, he said that. It's like I gained something. He's the way he's put it, he feels like he gained something rewarding, even and not just strictly monetary, but it's like every time
it's art for him.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So he's like that's why he feels it's an experience he really cherishes every time he makes a movie. So that's why he very seldom turns down a role. But third one, just walking,
You're flirting with extinction, Azteca. You're flirting with this line is probably going to get you banned. Go ahead.
And here's the thing: it's like he's actually very good in the Adam Sandler movies that he's been in.
Yeah, but those aren't I
get it, man. There's
he's not even carrying. He's not in the movie. He's not in the movie.
I get you on that. I might need to sleep on this a little bit, because again, my intro to Christopher Walken was Max Shrek. That was the first thing I ever saw him was Batman Returns. So and it's always kind of been interesting to me why they never tried to integrate Max Shrek into the comics, because whatever you think about the movie as a whole, I think I think most of us agree he makes a really strong impression he really is the real villain of Batman Returns. Is Max Shrek.
Because it's not a good movie.
That's
your 3?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else is
he gonna go number 4? You ain't getting far.
He is actually also everybody remember that Billy's gonna love this one. You might remember the one that Jack Black and Ben Stiller together called Envy, where Jack Black invents the spray that makes shit disappear.
Okay, next question. Now we're on the rails. So there you go. Thank you for the super chat. Azteca, yeah, I already know you're trolling me, but I'm still going to use this as a platform. Listen, I love David Lee Roth as DLR, Crazy from the Heat. The things he did afterwards. Here's the thing. Before Van Hagar, it was just a party, and that's fine if that's what you want. It was a really good MC. It was the best guitarist in the world at that time. It was a really awesome bassist and one of the greatest drummers out there, all doing their thing separately. If you want to listen to a song that makes that example for me, look at Hot for Teacher. That song basically is a solo for every one of those guys, and it somewhat comes together as a song. When 5150 comes around, they're making music. Everything is in unison, and that's why I love Van Hagar, and that's why they were, in my opinion, they were so successful. Every album was the number 1 album, pretty much. So, all right, and Bell Rev. Beach Boys stole from Chuck Berry. Screw them. Here's the thing about that. The hard truth that we, as folks of color, just really, it's not something we want to hear. And Little Richard, you want to hear somebody who got his music kind of railroaded to the point where more white people were performing his music at the time. In the era that mass music was produced and sold, we in that era, in the Chuck Berry and the Little Richard era in the 50s and 60s, outside of Motown, we weren't in a good place as a country when it came to accepting entertainment from us. Especially when it came to what would be considered rock and roll at the time. That's why Elvis, that's why Beach Boys, that's why a lot of these guys, and sometimes they stole it, or they didn't steal it, but their record producers would take it, and they actually would not. They would pay for it, but they just wouldn't pay. We were getting fleeced. So that was a product of the time. Herman and the Hermits would take things from Little Richard and James, all those guys, because of the way segregation and the way things were working back then. You weren't getting our stuff on that demo's radio stations. Now, the British invasion was really changed that, because the racism, there was racism in Britain too, but not anywhere near where it was for us. You had groups like the Beatles, you had groups like the Rolling Stones that were taking songs that were written by these guys, written by Little Richard, written by Chuck Berry, written by Bo Diddley, and all these people, and they were playing them in the clubs and on the radio in Britain, and then they would record these songs, and then because Britons were white, they were getting the airtime, they were getting in the places, the performance places, and then as we moved on from the 60s to 70s and then the 80s, we were still dealing with that kind of thing up until. Remember, we always bring up, and this is one of the reasons, even if you never sing a note, David Bowie, when he roasted Mark Goodman on that MTV, because MTV, the modern day, the contemporary thing that was supposed to bring us all together, wasn't playing black artists. They weren't playing, and it took David Bowie shaming, because he's David Bowie. Once you reach that kind of status, you can do and say whatever the fuck you want to. He put his career and reputation on the line, because he could have faced a lot of racial backlash. He put his career, because David Bowie had songs and had things gotten to him from that same way. So he respected it. So it wasn't until David Bowie started the conversation to why, you play a lot of black written music on these shows, but you don't have black performers on there. And then when Epic said, you either start playing more or we're going to take Michael Jackson away from you, because Epic was signed with Michael Jackson, or we're not going to give you his music. Because Rick James was he was fighting to get on MTV. And Rick James was writing songs for white bands. So that kind of stuff lasted all the way from the Beach Boys, all the way in the 50s, in the 40s, all the way up until the mid 80s, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a good point though. We've covered that on the show a couple times. Let's see. Oh yeah, that wasn't very good. Yeah, that wasn't very good. Yeah, we know. Oh, so he's giving you his. Hold on, let me get back on there.
Yeah, how could I forget the Rundown? Oh yeah, I love the Rundown.
Catch Me When You Can is good. Blast from the Past. Stevie Hodges is hard for me because he's not really,
because he just roars a lot.
Yeah, and for Christopher Walken, and no matter where he is, he's just like Denzel. I guess because when you're from Brooklyn, it doesn't matter what planet you're from. It doesn't matter if you're an angel. You're an angel from heaven with a Brooklyn accent.
One also Nick of Time, because this one's actually kind of falling through the cracks. I remember it was this one that Johnny Depp did in like 95, where he's this accountant, and this group of bad guys were trying to orchestrate this political hit, and he gets they kidnap his daughter and say, you got 90 minutes to take out the governor of California. And Walken is kind of the leader of that. He's a very Christopher Walken death scene in that movie, where it's like Depp finally gets him and shoots him with his gun. And it goes, very good, Mr. Watson. I told them I may kill of you.
The King of New York was so influential. Christopher Walken plays a character of Frank White, and Biggie Smalls calls himself the Black Frank White, and it's several of his songs, most notably in Victory. That movie crossed over to a lot of and it was a bomb when it first came out, but it's become like a cult hit. I love that movie. Sammy Hagar's last song with Van Halen was called Humans Being, and it was for the movie Twister. That's what broke up the band. That one of the things that broke up the band. because Twisters was on a soundtrack with like, Shania Twain and a bunch of other different demographics, and Sammy Hagar was like, we know who our audience is. Why are we doing this? Our fans are not going to buy this album. And that's where the tension started to really get really bad with them. And and then he was fired right after that. Plus on the draft wasn't, I don't watch, I had it on in the background. That's about it. I'm not big into the draft. I'm big into football, but not the draft.
That'd be cool, actually, if the Rundown got like a legacy sequel 20 years later. I actually got to interview
It's too old.
the fight coordinator for that, Andy Cheng. Actually, right before Black Adam came out, I interviewed him, and he was on that. He hails from the Jackie Chan stunt team, and I've just written my review for the Rundown on KFK at Couple Kingdom at the time, and I thought, hey, it's like I'm doing like a retro review on this. Let's try to like interview the man who orchestrated like Ernie Reyes's unforgettable smackdown with the Rock there. So that one thing led to another, and yeah, I got to interview Andy, and so he was a real pleasure to talk to.
Okay, Motorhead had their own space and Thatch. I don't know how I've never really. I guess, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, because I've always heavy metal, but their speed. I mean, Ace of Spades alone is technically thrash. I mean, what was their British new wave heavy metal is a technical term for it, but I could go along with that, Bill. Like I said, the appreciation I gained for Lemmy in that band after I saw them and I wasn't as familiar with them is like it's something, was great. He's the best thing about Batman Returns, but it's still a bad movie. All right, I think we're about to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean,
this Midnight Express has gone an hour and 13 minutes. So if you guys got anything else, okay, you meant to say thrash. I know you meant to say thrash. I mean, I know trash came out. I know what you mean. Ace of Spades is the most overplayed song in movies or shows, and yeah, it is. Dude, when they would leave the stage, obviously, Aces. If you've ever had the joy of being at a Motorhead concert, Ace of Spades, each band has their last song that they play. Guns N' Roses, it's Paradise City. Bands do that way, and then when it comes to Motorhead, Ace of Spades is the last one they played. It's the encore they played. And so at the concert I was at, they started breaking down everything and that they were going to leave. And people were like, what's going on? And then he comes out in his grumpy voice. You didn't think we were going to leave without that one, did you? And then he just rolls into it, man. Pasadena Rose Bowl. I will never forget that. I don't have any. I guess Rush Hour. This is more of a Brad question because I don't really.
Yeah, it is more Brad question. It's like top three. Oof.
Thank you for this.
I mean, we're just about to wrap up the show anyway, so it's like you might want to let me sleep on that, and especially because at the end of May I might have something with Karate Kid Legends looks freaking awesome. It's like I can't wait for it. That might have something that might even make it in the top 3 or at least top 10. So let me see.
Yeah, and me, I couldn't name enough Jackie Chan movies to really.
Where's
give
the
you
buzzer?
Answer.
Where's the buzzer?
So I thank you for the super chat, but I don't want to be disingenuous with you, Bronson. So that's purely a Brad question. I don't hate Jackie Chan. I just don't gravitate to his movies. Iron Maiden is fucking epic. I was just listening to Iron Maiden today. I grew up from Iron Maiden. The thing that got me to Iron Maiden was their album covers as a kid when I was seeing them as a kid, and then I would go. Motorhead has much better songs. Yeah, they do. But you try going to a concert and them not performing that and see how safe you are, or not. I mean, not now because you passed, but yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bronson. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you all for your super chats. And I will probably not be on the air tomorrow on my own. If anything, I'll be on the Vodka stream if Dave has a show and he invites me. I do not foresee me doing a later night show because that last 3 weeks has been like 5-hour shows. And when I'm not doing that, I'm going to be working on the store, getting it ready for Free Comic Books Day. Saturday, we have a show, and it's going to be one of our longer shows, so I will not be streaming during the afternoon because we're going to be discussing. I'll let you know right now. We've already discussed that we will be bringing people on to even, including I'm going to reach out to some other YouTubers I respect to see what their favorite Superman story is and why. We will be celebrating the. We will be talking about. I think I'm ready to start talking about Revenge of the Sith since it's being re-released this weekend. And I have a couple of other topics that we'll be talking about, but it'll probably be a 3-hour show as opposed to the 2-hour shows that it's been to lately. Mm-hmm. And not 3 hours because of overrun, but 3 hours because we actually have shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And we have Absolute. There's been a lot of Absolute stuff that has come out that we have not covered. And
Aaron, it's like, I mean, I've definitely written plenty about The Man's Body, where if I do like a top 10, if I haven't gotten to that yet, and I've written so much about it, like for all I know, I look back like, did I already write like a top 10 favorite Jackie? If I haven't yet, I need to do that. So
I can name 2, Rush Hour or Rush Hour 2.
Oh man, let me tell you something, man. It's like you have not even scratched the surface. I mean, you've not even made contact with the surface. Okay.
I don't know if I want to though. I mean,
because Aaron saw me do this. Saw me put up. I had one on Fortress go up recently. Right? Why I said it's like I don't think we need a Rush Hour 4, and part of that's because I think the Rush Hour series, in my estimation, is actually kind of on the lower tier of Jackie's Western and Hollywood and English language work. Because again,
all right, well, we're trying to we'll go into this later on because, like I said, I see where you're going, and we're going at 3:00 in the morning. But we'll bring this up when the debut episode of Brad's Kung Fu.
It'll be our normal Saturday night showtime.
It'll be 8:00. It'll be 8:00 on Saturday. All right, guys, that's it. Please like, subscribe, share the gospel, leave a comment. Don't be stupid though. Leave a comment if we didn't answer your question here. If you have one to extend the conversation, and we will see you for sure, without fail, Saturday evening, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Have a nice Friday.
There you guys.